I absolutely love Greek food, and I have for pretty much all of my adult life. I do have a couple of Greek cookbooks, and I've experimented with making various Greek dishes. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make one of my favorite Greek dishes. It's called Spanakopita. It's like a savory spinach pie. It has phyllo dough and feta cheese, onions, and various spices. It's really good. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it, but maybe some of you are not. I'm sure a lot of you are intimidated by it because, you do have to work with phyllo, and some people find that to be a little bit aggravating. But if I can do it, I'm sure you can do it too. So please do watch my video, and hopefully you'll learn a few things and you'll feel inspired, and you'll attempt to make this dish on your own one day. So let's go over the ingredient list. Of course, you're going to need feta cheese. And in this recipe, I realized that I didn't buy enough spinach. So I recommend using only about 4 or 5 ounces or maybe 6 ounces of feta cheese. And of course, you're going to need phyllo dough. This is Athens brand. Follow the directions about how to thaw it properly. And of course, you're going to need the main ingredient, which is spinach. I have 2 packs here. These are both 9 ounces. I should have bought 4, but I haven't made spanakopita in a while, and I forgot about how much spinach it actually requires. So I only have about 1 pound, but it still worked out in my favor. It still tasted great, as you're going to see as I go through the video. And you're going to need an egg and some fresh dill, salt and pepper, and some nutmeg, which is often used in Greek dishes. Oh, and one more thing, you're going to need some chopped onions. I have about 3/4 cup. You can use either olive oil or butter to brush your sheets of phyllo dough with. I use a silicone brush. I prefer butter because I love the buttery taste, but keep the olive oil handy even if you're going to use butter, because you can use that to saute your onions with. Of course, you can double this recipe if you want to by using 4 bags of spinach and doubling everything else. I prefer fresh spinach as opposed to frozen spinach, and I always look over all of my spinach and I trim the spinach if needed. I like to trim the stems off because that's just me. And it's already pre-washed, so there's no need to wash it, and you're going to boil it anyway. This dish is a good bit of effort, but it is well worth all the effort. Add all of your spinach to a pot of boiling water. You're going to boil it just long enough so that it wilts, but you don't want to overdo it. Guys, we're going to start to make our filling. As you can see here, this is what the 2 bags of spinach looks like after it's been wilted. I'm going to add my onions. I'm going to add 1 egg. Okay, because the feta cheese is already salty, I don't advise adding a lot of salt to this. Maybe about half a teaspoon or even a little bit less. You're going to add your dill. I have about 2 tablespoons here, roughly. And you're going to add some pepper, about a half teaspoon or whatever you prefer. And of course, you're going to add your feta cheese and mix that with the other ingredients to create your filling. If you're going to double the amount of spinach you have, double everything else. You can also add a 1/8 teaspoon or 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg to the filling if you desire. Let's get started layering our phyllo dough. You're going to use butter to grease your pan, and you do want to thoroughly grease it. You can use olive oil if you prefer, but I like butter better. And I melted 1 stick of butter. You can expect to use at least 1 stick of butter for this dish, maybe even more. And now comes the fun part. I'm just kidding. Some people may not want to attempt any dishes made with phyllo because they don't like this part. It's not that hard. Once you've done it a few times, it becomes very easy. The box that I showed you of the Athens phyllo dough, it contains 2 packs of phyllo, and you're going to use 1 pack for the bottom half and 1 pack for the top half. You have to layer each sheet and brush each sheet individually with butter and make sure that it's thoroughly moistened with butter or oil, whatever you're using, because if it's not, then it's going to get dry and dried out, and it's not going to taste good. It's not going to come out right. And you also need to cover your phyllo with plastic. And on top of the plastic, you want to put a damp dish towel or hand towel. This will keep your phyllo from drying out. And this is important. A lot of people think that this extra step is, annoying or aggravating, but trust me, it's very important and it's well worth the effort. And you just keep going and going until you've used the entire pack, 1 pack of phyllo for the bottom layer. If you find any sheets that are stuck together, you're probably not going to be able to separate them without tearing them up, so just toss them. Hopefully most of the sheets are not like that in your package. I have encountered, a bad pack of phyllo dough before, but shouldn't be a problem. If they're torn, you just put the torn pieces, butter those, and kind of piece them together. Like when I say torn, I mean like maybe torn in half. I mean not like shredded to little bits, but like if you find a piece or if you got a piece that tears, you can put 1/2 down in the dish, butter it, and then put the other half. And now you're going to spread your filling around the entire dish. I barely have enough to cover all of the phyllo, but it still worked out in my favor. It still tasted great despite this setback. Once you've added your filling to the dish, it's time to work on the second layer. And you're going to do the second layer, the top layer, just like you did the bottom layer. And be sure to keep your phyllo dough covered while you're not using it. This is very important because you don't want it to dry out, as I've already told you. Before you put your spanakopita into a preheated oven, you want to bless the top of the spanakopita. You want to sprinkle it all over, just a little bit though. You don't want to put too much water because you want to prevent the top from drying out whenever it's baking. Bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 40 to 45 minutes. Please be aware that you may need to adjust either your oven temperature or baking time depending on your oven. I have to make adjustments because my oven bakes things too quickly, but you'll know whenever it's done because it will smell like it's done and it will turn a nice golden brown color on the top. Okay guys, and here is the final result. Now in a few minutes I'm going to cut into this and give it a try. And here we have the final result. Oh, it's so delicious. I thought there wasn't going to be enough filling, but it's really good. You need a knife and fork to cut this with. Highly recommend trying this out. It's well worth the effort.